Good afternoon. Thank you so much for attending the community meeting for the Caldor incident. It's 5 p.m. August 25th, 2021. My name is Rich Brocchini. I'm a PIO for Cal Fire Incident Management Team 6. So a quick update on numbers right now. The fire is currently 126,182 acres in size, 11% contained, and we have 2,667 firefighters fighting this fire in the air and on the ground. So just some information about how you get information. So it's really important for us to make sure we coordinate all the information that comes out with our unified partners, and it's validated and it's consistent. And so every day at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. we have information come out on our fact sheets, our update sheets. That's consistent every single day. Additionally, we have other information that comes out via social media or press releases. There are several ways to get the information. We're very active on social media, so we encourage everybody to follow us on social media. Additionally, we also encourage everybody to sign up for the email notices where you'll get any and everything that's pushed out or disseminated on this incident. Lastly, we have a phone number. That phone number is posted everywhere, but we're going to give it to you one more time. We actually have PIOs, public information officers, that answer the phone and will take your call. That phone number is 530-303-2455. At this time, we're going to go ahead and get an operational update from our Ops Section Chief.
Good evening, Eric Schwab, Operations Section Chief with Incident Management Team 6. Had a successful day, just got back from the fire. We added some more black line across the heel of the fire into Division Whiskey. This is good cold black, just as in basically a patrol status, along with the piece of black that's been shown in here. We conducted firing operations last night. It went better than we expected. They got a lot further. In fact, they completely closed the box. They started on both sides of the canyon, on the Omo side and up off of Grizzly, and burned all the way down into the middle fork of the Consumnes River and up the other side. A lot of you probably saw a large smoke column today in that area late morning and into the afternoon, and that was those fuels that we set fire to burning out interior. We had no spots from those. It was a 100% planned, and it did exactly what we needed it to do. Now with a couple days of mop-up operations in this area, this will start turning into black cold line here within the next 48 hours. Continued with firing operations off of Sly Park Road last night. They're in there prepping. We actually found a way to try and eliminate some of this dozer line, all these X's. This was our intended box. We're shaving some of that off to try and reduce the amount of structures that we're burning next to. Hand crews have been inside the canyon here trying to piece that together today with bulldozers, and we'll start some firing on that tonight. But if this is successful, it'll reduce the complexity of this firing operation, and it'll reduce the amount of time that we need to be working in there and can start mopping that up. So a good success in there. And this area was smoking quite a bit today too. You folks probably saw that. That was that fire that we started in there as it's backing its way down into the canyon. It's consuming those fuels and putting up quite a bit of smoke. Division F, we're in here. This is a tough piece of ground off of Highway 50. We're looking and exploring ways that we can get direct on the fire's edge. Again, it's a tough piece of ground, and I still don't have a bunch of firefighters to put in here to help mitigate that. Same as we go along Division Gulf, Division Hotel. Division Hotel is doing a lot of patrolling along Highway 50 right here. The fire's back down. They're patrolling to make sure we don't get additional spots on the north side of the river. Division Hotel, the spot that we received several days ago, we started a firing operation on the east flank of that last night. Unfortunately, the wind has been out of the southwest all day, up in this higher country and challenging our lines. Unfortunately, the spot fire threw another spot fire across Wrights Lake Road. We're currently trying to get containment on that. That new spot fire is about 700 acres. For the total acreage of fire on the north side of 50, we're at about 2,100 acres. The west side of it and the north side of it are fairly secure right now, but again, we are kind of chasing this one down. It's spreading lateral. The winds will start to taper off tonight, and I'm confident we'll get that some dozer line around that. One of my most critical pieces, one of our most critical pieces is this Division Juliet. And this is to stop the eastward spread of this fire. And this is our last really good option to do so. It's our last quote unquote easier option because we have a road system in here. The wind again has caught that section of fire today. We're picking up a few spot fires, but as you can see on the map, the main fire has reached our control point, our dozer line right there, and we're going to be into Division Juliet tonight and start a firing operation to get this all blacked in and create that catcher's mitt to stop this easterly spread of the fire. So see a bunch of resources in there tonight. Division Lima, again, all the way down. We have a lot of folks staffed in that area now. Retardant, fixed wing was dropping a ton of retardant into Division L to check the spread of it, to buy us time to get up there and go direct and indirect on that fire. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Incident meteorologist Jim Dudley. I'm going to talk about the weather, what we got going on tonight, and also for tomorrow. So, as operations said, the fire has had a lot of this southwesterly winds coming up the Highway 50 corridor here in the afternoons, and a lot of south winds across the fire, and that's caused the fire to want to move to the east and also a little bit to the north over here. The good news is we're having a little change in the weather pattern. Therefore, for the next 3 days, we are going to have much decreased. In fact, it's almost going to stop. This southerly wind flow that's been feeding into the fire area and helping to drive the afternoon southwest and west winds is going to stop. We're going to have very light winds aloft. Therefore, up on the ridge tops and on the very critical east side of the fire, we're not going to have the aiding effect of the south winds trying to push the fire that direction. We are also going to, conversely, when we get high pressure, it's going to be a little bit warmer and a little bit drier across the fire. But the good news is we won't have the winds trying to push it as much in this direction over here. We are looking at this pattern again to hold through the weekend. And this is going to allow, unfortunately, it's going to allow the smoke to basically hang around the fire area longer. The smoke the fire produces is not going to be pushed off to the northeast nearly as easily, or it's not going to be flooding out into Nevada and directions to the east. It's going to want to hang around closer to the fire area, and that may do a couple of things. If it hangs out over the fire, it can actually stop the sun from hitting the surface. It'll like shade the fire, may shade itself. Therefore, we're not going to have as much wind also pushing up these canyons in the afternoon. So once again, the good news is lighter winds. The directional change from the atmosphere, it's not going to want to try to keep pushing that fire nearly as hard as it has the last few days off in the north and easterly directions. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Vollmer. I'm the Fire Behavior Analyst for Incident Management Team 6. So the fire is located in an area that has very little fire history in it. Most recorded fire history going back prior to 1940. So we're looking at very dense stands of timber. We're looking at very large diameter trees above 40 inches in diameter. We're looking at a lot of material, heavy dead and down fuels throughout the entire fire area. That is causing us some control issues. Those dead and down materials are very receptive. They're extremely dry, as well as all the other fuels in the fire. And that is allowing for a very receptive fuel bed for those spot fires to get into. As operations said, we've been battling some spot fires throughout different areas of the incident from the get-go. And the south winds are going up into those steep drainages and getting in alignment and coming back out on the northeast side, and that's how we're getting the erratic winds that we've seen over the last couple of days, as well as the winds today up there in the Division Ida and the spot fire that's across Highway 50, allowing that to get established again. So those spot fires are going out, 90% probability of ignition. So 90 out of every 100 of those embers that go out and land in the fuel are going to create an ignition that's going to cause us to have to go mitigate that. So extremely difficult conditions out there for the resources, as well as extremely steep and rugged terrain with very little road access. Right now, the spotting distance is about 3/4 of a mile. We have seen it upwards of a little over a mile during the entire length of the incident so far. We will, however, once we get these winds to stop and slow down starting tomorrow, get a reprieve from all that. The spotting distances will start dropping. The rates of spread will start dropping. We'll stop seeing those passive crown fire runs and the active crown fire runs, and we'll see the fire basically start backing on its own down into the drainages and slowly coming out of the drainages. We haven't seen that yet on this incident. So once we get into tomorrow, we'll be able to get a lot more resources in there safely due to the decrease in fire activity, and we'll be able to affect a lot more direct line control on some of those areas that we need to. End of report.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and do questions and answers. And one of the questions we continue to get is, what started the fire? And rest assured, we have an investigation team on this, and they're working diligently to find out how this started. And once we have that answer, we'll definitely share that. So it's still under investigation at this time. So we're going to have our operations section chief come up right now and answer some of the questions we've been receiving from our online monitors.
Couple of these relating to, I think, how we're expanding a little bit. One of them is, are we going to use, will helicopters use water out of Kirkwood Lake? As our fire is expanding, we always look for efficiencies on where to put our bases, and that includes aircraft. So we currently have a helibase at Placerville Helibase, and as our fire's grown, we're looking, and we've gone out and explored a helibase also at Kirkwood. So we'll split aircraft between those two. So aircraft pulling out of Kirkwood Lake, probably not. We'll look for stuff a lot closer over there, but starting tomorrow, we'll have a small footprint of 2 to 3 helicopters located out of Kirkwood under supervision there to reduce that flight time to get into the east end of the fire. Status of Strawberry Lodge, the fire is not into Strawberry. The fire is still east of Strawberry. Strawberry Lodge is looking fantastic. Are there any firing ops on the east side? Yes, so tonight we will start firing here in Division Juliet, and we were doing burning up on the north side of 50 yesterday. We were planning a firing operation in Division T. Priorities, I couldn't put resources in there to do that several days ago. The fire ended up making a little push at our control line in there. It went up, hit our control line, laid down, we mopped it up, so that firing operation is completed. But I anticipate small firing operations across this whole eastern flank. Again, firefighters were only effective to get in there and do direct attack on fires with the flames 4 feet or less. 8 feet with mechanized equipment and water, and after 12 feet, we're pretty much ineffective with whatever we have. So in that timber fuel model, we have to go direct, and we have to utilize burning operations to achieve that black line. Can you stop the fire on Highway 88? It's our goal, it's the team's goal, to not let the fire get to 88. But we are doing contingency work, a lot of work from both the El Dorado National Forest Amador El Dorado unit has done fuels work along 88. For those of you that have driven it, there's about 300 feet of fuels work on both sides of the road. So should the fire make a push to 88, that definitely helps us out in holding the fire there. And the last one I see is Ice House Reservoir being used for water drops. Again, we may be pulling a little bit of water out of Ice House to work here. We typically look for the closest water source, and then also keeping in mind aircraft performance, making sure it's the most efficient water source for the aircraft to work out of. And that is the end of my questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Lee. I'm the law enforcement liaison for IMT 6. So I have a couple questions that I'm going to go ahead and answer for you guys. The first one is, how can I get prescription drugs if you left them in your house? So the best way to do that is to contact the American Red Cross. They'll be happy to be able to help you out with that and get you whatever you need. And then some questions came up regarding evac. So let's go over to the evac map here for a moment. So this evac map pretty much has been the same way for the last couple days, which is a good thing. It means that we have the mandatory evacuation, again, which is the red area right here. That's where people should not be. And then we've got the yellow portion going around that. That's the evacuation warning. That's letting people know that they basically need to pay attention to news media, be aware of what's going on, should we need to at some point make it a mandatory evacuation area. But anything in yellow right now is just a warning. It's just letting you know that you need to be aware of where the fire is and keep informed. One of the questions that I have here was asking me about Alpine County. That's right down in this area here. There are no warnings currently, no mandatory evacuations or warnings down in Alpine County. One of the other questions I got is, how will you know when you're allowed to return home? So when an area has been, the fire has been eradicated in that area, or the fire didn't touch that area and it's no longer an emergency ingress egress route for fire apparatus, etc., and it's safe. So in other words, we're able to get some utilities on, we're able to verify the roads are clear. At that point, the PIOs will work together. You'll get messaging coming out from the EOC, Team 6's PIO, etc., letting you know what areas are now available for people to repopulate. And most likely, when we start the repopulation process, we'll probably make it so that residents can get in there first, and then we'll start to slowly open it up for everybody. But we want to give a chance for folks to get back in and kind of assess what's gone on in their neighborhood and stuff like that. Thank you.
Good evening, Dusty Martin, one of the Unified Incident Commanders. So we've got a couple of questions here, and we'll hit a couple of them real quick, and they cover, will the new fires in the valley in Calaveras County affect the resources on the Caldor Fire? So that is a definite possibility. CAL FIRE's goal is to keep all fires to 10 acres, or 90% of all fires to 10 acres or less. And to do that, that means we have to surge resources in and surge resources out to get that. As we've talked over the last couple of days, we've talked about a resource-deficient environment, that everybody is giving as much resources they can to these fires. Well, what that means is they have less resources available to attack new incidents. So if we are called, we will share resources to these new incidents, so we can try and keep those fires under control small before they become large fires like this one. Now, there was a question about containment. This has come up a couple of times about, will full containment really be August 31st? So when we start this fire, we have to pick a date, and it really is a date that we pick as a shot in the dark. As you've seen, the fire's definitely progressed from day one. It's moved quite a bit. So no, we will not have full containment of this fire by August 31st. There's a question about the Caldor Fire being the #1 priority fire in the nation that Chief Porter had talked about yesterday. So there's a process that is done through our northern and our southern geographical coordination centers that rate the fire based off of a whole new bunch of points that we get rated in priority. And what that means is that with the Caldor Fire being the #1 priority fire, that we get the first opportunity for additional resources that become available into the Caldor Fire. And as our operations talked about it, we're starting to see the fruits of those labors. We're starting to see the black line continue. We're starting to gain ground on this fire, and it is making a difference. The last one here that I want to address is it true that the forestry didn't let CAL FIRE in to the incident? That would be the U.S. Forest Service, El Dorado National Forest, CAL FIRE, Amador El Dorado. Both agencies were on scene of the fire from the very start. Both agencies had resources that responded to it. In El Dorado County, we have a mutual shared system that there's no boundary. We send resources to no matter whose jurisdiction it is, to keep those fires small. So that rumor that may be floating out there is false. Both agencies were at the incident at the start of the fire, and as we've talked over the last couple of days, both agencies are still standing side by side in this fire to see it to its full mitigation. And that will not change. We're here together, lockstep, and we're making decisions together and moving forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we get a consistent question coming up online here. Will we have another Tahoe meeting? And essentially, we want to let everybody know that Tahoe, the lake itself, is 122,600 acres. So this fire is a little bit bigger than that lake, just to kind of give everybody a visual at the fight that we're up against and we continue to make progress on. So with that, we're going to call up our incident commanders for closing comments.
Good evening. My name is Ben Newbern. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders representing the United States Forest Service. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your involvement in tonight's meeting. We'll continue to hold these meetings every evening at 5 p.m. Last evening, we did hold a virtual meeting specific to Lake Tahoe, and we will continue to address Lake Tahoe with questions, potentially with future meetings for Lake Tahoe, but also this meeting here has information that can help answer questions for people in the Lake Tahoe area or people that are curious about what is going on in the Lake Tahoe area. And then secondly, and just to follow up and finish off, the next couple of days are going to be really critical days for this incident. We're going to be involved in some very complex firefighting activities, particularly on the east side of the fire with some of our very technical firing operations that we're going to be pulling off, and then also some of the work we're doing out in the west side of the fire. And so you're going to see some smoke in the air possibly. You're going to see a lot of fire equipment moving around, but let me assure you that we are working together to bring a successful end to this incident, but the next few days are going to certainly be a test of our firefighting abilities and certainly going to present some opportunities for us to get some solid success on this fire and start getting some containment. And so we'll continue to report out on that in the coming days and at the 5 o'clock calls, the 5 o'clock meetings, and look forward to continuing to interact with you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our meeting, but we want to recap very quickly about how you can get information, how you can obtain it. We did that in the very beginning, and just to reiterate, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., we have our incident update sheets that come out. They come out online. They're published on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. They're also disseminated via email, so please sign up for our email list. They look like this. On these respective documents, you see a little square code right there. It's called a QR code. And if you scan your phone over that, you can do it on your computer, you can do it on a hard copy piece of paper. It's going to populate a link tree. This link tree brings up 16 different links that has anything and everything about this incident that you want to know about right at your fingertips. It could be the evacuation maps, it could be incident updates, it could be shelter information. So please take a moment and go and scan that with your phone so you can be updated. I want to thank you very much for your support, and stay safe and stay informed.